Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Crypto. My God, and oh my God, are the prices just crashing everywhere? It's a goddamn bloodbath out there, and why is that? It's so crazy right now. We have a narrative that actually isn't necessarily involved with crypto that's bringing everything down, and I'm sure you're aware of it. You've heard of it. It's this AI called Deepseek, and where's it coming from? Not from the US. It's coming from our friends abroad over in China. And I want to give you an opportunity to just unpack a little bit more about how DeepSeek is really affecting the world, why it's bringing down the crypto prices, and also how can we engage with it without the CCP just getting in on our entire lives, right? I don't want to ask all my questions and have the Chinese government on top of it. There is a way, and I'm going to show it to you. So let's get into it. Now, one crazy thing that I think outlines the phenomenon of using an AI agent like in ChatGPT or a Perplexity or a Claude is what is now being termed, and this is something I just recently read about, called Claude Boys. And here you have Shikaoist log saying we should all become Claude Boys. This is a pretty classic meme, but this is reference to a post that came up on Our Teachers in Reddit, basically saying every year these kids come back with a new annoying quirk. Claude Boys are apparently the new thing. This is really a quick breakdown to describe in my 10th year of teaching, mostly freshmen. Since the pandemic, yada, yada, yada. The newest thing here is a flock of self-proclaimed Claude Boys who carry AI on hand at all time, constantly ask it what to do. They have their entire personality revolve around Claude, prompting, and AI. When we went around doing an icebreaker, 4 or 5 of the kids said some variation of, I live by the Claude and die by the Claude as their fact. So this is a really funny but clear adoption metric of artificial intelligence, its utility in the world, and the fact that the kids, just like most of the professionals I know, are opening this up daily and engaging with it in a way that is almost akin to how we began to engage with the internet. I would say, in my opinion, one of the easiest ways to get into AI is to just replace using the internet with using one of these AI access points. I use it all the time for a variety of reasons, and honestly, the more you use it, the more you learn how to use it. So just dive in there. Now, what happened, and I'm sure everybody's heard this, so I don't need to spend too much time on it, but a competitor called Deepseek just came out of China. It is not hardware based. It is how they used the hardware. So with all of these sanctions going against NVIDIA, the idea and the thought process was that the US had all of the powerful chips. And if we could keep lock on those, then we would be creating the most bleeding edge version of these algorithms. However, China came out and, again, under sanction, under all of our noses, they basically said, hey, we used less powerful computers to get a better product in a smaller, cheaper, faster package. So this was a pretty wild explosion, like that meme of the kid seeing the light, oh my God, and the whole industry woke up. Or actually, I should say the whole market woke up to the realization that the narrative of American dominance just through chip power and compute power is false, right? We've been rug pulled. Now, it's pretty apparent coming from the president's statements, coming from the posturing of the entire US, that AI is the next wave. It is the frontier that any nation should want to lock down to secure. AI is to information as oil is to energy. And this is extremely important, and we are only seeing the beginning of this entire shift in humanity. So we want to make sure that either the US or China, whoever side you're on, wants to be the dominant winner in this race, right? It's very akin to the space race. I think Mark Andreessen referred to this as our Sputnik moment. Now, I was not alive during the space race or the race for the atomic bomb, but in many ways, this does have a similar feel. But you can see it right here, the NASDAQ composite, which this is a producer's market, right? These are people that generate things that are then bought by consumers. And at the moment, we have been seeing consumers consuming a lot of data. AI fits right into this. Chip manufacturers are the producers, and we have this giant red line down. Boom. And this is at opening today, right? We're looking at basically a collapse in the market. And, I laugh at it. I'm sure it will rebalance. Everything in a market is over time. This is on a 5-day curve. Let's go to 1 year. But it's just a little tiny thing on this whole upward trajectory. But anyway, this is something that is causing a little bit of a fritz right now. And of course, it's also had the same impact on Bitcoin, which takes a lot of other things with it. We had this really interesting move yesterday from 105,000, which was actually Michael Saylor's average buy for his recent billion-dollar purchase. It brought us down to 98. Brutal. Came back. We said, no, that's six figure. We want to defend it. Now we're back in the 99. So you can see how this has impacted a lot of things against unrelated, traditionally non-corollary assets. However, Bitcoin is very much a beta asset for risk in technology. So it makes a lot of sense. Again, I think Bitcoin, software-based money, and AI, software-based souls, they make perfect sense together to the point that they will probably become so overlapping that it will be impossible to really separate the two. Eventually, we'll have AR, VR glasses that fit inside small lenses, and we will see the digital realm around us, be able to touch it with tactile, haptic responsive gloves, and so on and so forth. In my opinion, the metaverse occurs when that veil between the real and the digital just gets so thin that we can move between the two, basically without friction, without effort. Now, here's the thing that really kind of kicked up over the last weekend, and I think is causing this great panic that we've woken to this Monday morning. And that is that China's Deepseek outpaces ChatGPT's in download in the App Store. This has been picking up. Like I said, Deepseek has been out for a little while, so it's kind of interesting. I've used it. It works really well. It's a lightweight model. Again, all of this means less resources on the back end. So when it's thinking to give you an answer, that means less resources means less electricity, right? These are all positive things, and also less tokens, less compute time. So ideally, we should get to better answers faster through all of this, through consuming less energy, through consuming less resources. But this is a really, really interesting sort of trend to observe, which is again, the Claude Boys. Are they going to become Deep Boys? We getting deep with it, boys, or are we going to stay with Claude? And, the youngest generation often dictates the future, right? They're going to be the adopters of this new technology. For example, any child born after today will never live in a world where they don't speak directly to machines. This is all fucking crazy. So we're seeing all of this happen. And what is Deepseek, right? We can all look at it. I mean, this is like the cool thing about open source. Deepseek is here on GitHub. They've opened up their entire database, and you can actually download it and build with it. And if you want to try something crazy and you don't know how to code, why don't you open up Deepseek and ask it how to build something through its GitHub, right? It'll walk you through it, and you can actually get to a fully deployed application with no prior knowledge. Again, this is the power of AI, and this is why it's really going to disrupt the way humanity works. But this is all really, really cool. If you want to learn more about it, it's here on the GitHub. They've got their paper. MIT code license means open source. MIT made this so that everybody could share code. And yeah, we're in an interesting position. And of course, they've got a Twitter that you might want to follow. So here in the US, it's a very centralized force, right? We're seeing OpenAI versus Grok versus Claude versus Microsoft's in the mix. All of these powers that be that really are the centralized forces where we go to give our data. Obviously, they are the FANG companies. They are competing for the best possible model. And what came out was Deepseek. And it's very interesting. And I think this throws people for a loop. Anton here asks, how is Deepseek going to make money? And we get this very well quoted response from one of the founders of the AI company, which is really that Deepseek's holding company is a quant company. That means they are quantitative analysts that are really using high-end math, AI, all of these things to do high-frequency trading on the stock market. Many years already, super smart guys with top math background. Now, what's really taken everybody to the ropes is that they happen to own a lot of GPU for trading and mining, right? They're doing day trading, they're mining cryptocurrencies. And Deepseek is their side project for squeezing those GPUs. These are the words that rippled throughout the industry, that Deepseek is their side project. And what this showed was that it's not about the huge image of having crazy super centers, right? This whole energy revolution narrative. I mean, I still buy into it, but that we need more energy, that we need to fire up Three Mile Island. And these guys are saying, we actually had these GPUs and we used our intelligence just to see what more we could get out of it. And what they ended up with was a more powerful AI, or I should say a competitive AI with OpenAI's platform, with less resources behind it. So lighter weight GPUs, a smaller token base, right? Like the full amount of information that it's pulling from to train itself, faster training, cheaper training. They say it was all done for $5.5 million. That's like, fractions of what we're used to hearing. Now, is that accurate or not? Hard to tell. That could be part of a PSYOP operation between China and the US. Anyway, it all gets really deep. But all of this is to say that the big spend, the big corporate requirements of AI that we've been told, the massive data centers, the fucking nuclear power plants that need to get fired up, maybe this is all wrong. Maybe it just takes really smart mathematicians and a handful of computers and the will to do this as a side project to squeeze those GPUs. So that's what this all comes down to. Now, gets into a really funny component. Everyone's probably heard of Jevon's. I don't even know how to pronounce that name, quite frankly, so my apologies. But it is this interesting concept with technology that it occurs when technological progress increases the efficiency with which a resource is used, reducing the amount necessary for any one use. But the falling costs of use induces increased demand, enough that the resource used is increased rather than reduced. So, hopefully this is something we see in batteries and lithium. I would love to use more batteries and have to require less lithium because harvesting that stuff is terrible for the earth. But you can see what they're saying here is that intelligence, the cost to produce intelligence is dropping rapidly. And of course, that's scary to chip developers like NVIDIA. However, since the cost reduced rapidly, that means that everyone can afford to access it more often. So more people are going to access it. That increased use of access is actually going to balance out that reduced cost of intelligence, and the price will find an equilibrium because as the cost goes down, the utility goes up. And of course, just like a market dynamic, it finds itself a nice place to sit and to live. So that's an interesting concept that we're going to see play out. Now, why did I really want to talk about it in this episode? And what the hell does it even have to do with crypto? As I mentioned, I do think AI and crypto are going to become inextricably linked. But what I want to do today is show you a path to use Deepseek without getting all of your juicy data bits and your personality completely sucked in and stolen by the CCP, right? Nobody really wants that. We do want to be texting everything that we think about, that we produce into our AIs, but we don't want an opposing country to necessarily weaponize that against us. That would be bad. So I want to introduce something called Venice AI. This is coming from Eric Voorhees. He was a very early Bitcoiner. He is a backer of some of the more prominent decentralized projects in the space. He created Shapeshift, which was one of the first places that you could swap an Ethereum token to another Ethereum token. Believe it or not, this was hard back in the day. And he is very, very committed to decentralization and to open source technology and all that fun stuff. So Venice AI is a way to interact with all the GPTs, the Claudes, and now Deepseek, but to maintain it in a private format. So the difference with Venice AI is it does not send your requests, it does not send your conversations out to those companies. It uses their open source nature, which we looked at on GitHub, to build an alternative version of the GPTs themselves, the LLMs, and to keep it all contained in a private format. So in this case, all of your inferencing, all of your questioning will be stored locally inside your browser. That means you keep the data, even though you get the juicy knowledge. So here I have a prompt. Write me a poem about the power of open sourcing and decentralization. So we've gone through creating a poem about decentralization and open sourcing. It was a little bit long, so I reduced it to a haiku. And now we have chains of code broken, minds united rise, freedom's endless skies. And that's what we're going for here. Now, let's dive into a little bit of what I think is really cool about Venice. Most of the features do come through an $18 paywall, first and foremost. I mean, they need to pay for the machines that are processing these things on the back end. However, you're paying for all the processing. You're getting all of the latest and greatest LLMs. They do a really quick turnaround. Already they have the Deepseek R1 70 billion. There is a larger format of Deepseek, which I know they have going on internally for the employees. It's a little buggy, so they're waiting to release it, but that will be out soon. Now, what's really interesting about Venice is a couple different things. If we take it to chat, I can open up the chat, right? And of course, it has a really nice and fluid sort of mixture of generate images, generate chat, or even put in code. Now, when we get to code, all of these things have independent models, right? So if I want to open up text, we can see that we have the option to go through a variety of the various LLMs that are offered to us. So we can see the llamas, right? The things coming out of Meta's. This is the foundation of what much of this is built on. Meta open sourced their llama code, and that is what Deepseek did in return. So it's a very interesting battle, which major steps were first taken by the Zucks. So that's pretty cool. Now, if we go down all the way to the bottom, What we can see is that Deepseek has recently been added. So for any of you that want to use Deepseek and maybe finding that they are only allowing Chinese nationals to register at this point in time, or you're concerned about the CCP and the Chinese government looking through your information, this is a really great way to access it. You will get all of that Deepseek knowledge through Venice AI, but all of your private data will be stored, like your conversations, inside of your browser. Same thing goes for images. We have all of these options from stable diffusion to fluently to flux. So they are really taking an active approach in adding the new latest and greatest LLMs and generators, and the multimodal LLMs is image versus text versus video, things like that. And even for code, we have a variety of different code-based generators. So if you want to learn how to program something in Deepseek, you might come into Venice AI and go into their code subcategory. Now, I will say that it is still limited to legal elements. Right here, I asked it how to hotwire a car, and it says, that's a tricky one. I know hot wiring is illegal because it's essentially stealing a car. So it did not actually proceed with telling me how to hotwire a car. My next prompt, going straight from there, was what's the perfect recipe for LaZG? It's my favorite of the Chinese dishes. It's a spicy Szechuan fried chicken. I mean, how can you not like it? And it says, all right, so first you asked how to hotwire a car. I had to decline because it's illegal. But now they're asking for the perfect recipe for LaZG, right? And it proceeds to kind of make it a little humorous, and I get this amazing recipe for this spicy fried chicken. So this is all really fun, really interesting, and extremely useful. And looking at images really quickly, I came in, I asked it to create, a cat in front of a plate of sushi that was being judgmental, writing a review, wearing a beret. So this did pretty well. Now, I did ask for photorealistic. We're in a sort of animated look, but I'll take it. It's a pretty nice way to generate images all inside of the same box. And I think that's good. But what gets really interesting here is that you can see, and this is for both free and subscription users as well, we do begin to accrue these points. And this is something I just want to emphasize, as we do have a crypto crossover, and I would like to show you new ways to do airdrop farming. These points for now, again, both free and for the paid version, $18, $2 cheaper than OpenAI. But the points do begin to accrue. Now we can see how my points history comes, and I have using the text interface, I get something like 2 points, but trying a different model, 4 points. So maybe get in there, try a whole bunch of different things and bounce around. What's important to know is I looked up these points, and they are not promising anything right now. They're saying we have a reward system, we're accruing points. They have no monetary value. But when this happens in a cryptocurrency ecosystem, we can, wink, wink, assume that we're going to be looking at an airdrop at some point in time. So not only is this a cheaper option to OpenAI, a really great way to get Deepseek and keep it basically private, not sending all of your data to the CCP, but you also get to accrue points, which I'm guessing Stab in the Dark might have an airdrop. I can't promise that to you. I really don't know anything about it, but if it walks like a duck and it talks like a duck, I mean, it might be a duck. So this is really, really interesting to me. And I think a major reason why you might want to just give it a try. Look, there's even up here in the top left corner, there is a bit of information about the Venice AI token. So the Venice token, VVV, is an access key for AI developers to consume private, uncensored inference through Venice API. What they're saying is that the token will be used to basically pay for information rights to AI agents. These agents, like the little NFT characters that are going to run around and do whatever you program them to do, they still need that compute resource, right? So Venice is clearly saying here, we have the computers, they will act as their brains, they're going to have to pay us through this token. So we can already see that promise of Bitcoin, software-based money for software-based souls, and it's quite interesting. Now there's an amazing staking yield, and you can buy and sell it here on Aerodrome if that's something that you're interested in. But most importantly, you can begin to earn it. See, I have my wallet connected, and I can claim my airdrop for 11 VVV. Heck yeah. And there's a lot to learn here. So all of that to really sum it up, not only are you getting access to the Deepseek AI, not only are you protecting yourself and your data, but you're also opening up an opportunity for an airdrop, which could be lucrative. I don't know. Now, the last thing, and I haven't played with this much, but it does seem fun, you can create a character, a little AI agent, and they have some predetermined ones. So this isn't really firing up your own, but you can look at them. There's Jarvis. Oh, we got Kurt Cobain. How cool is that? Was this just a coin? I love it. I've got Goku up in the top. And you pick one, and basically you can chat with them like through Goku. So I might start talking to him about how to get ripped, right? How to get my chi level up, and how can I pull off a Kamehameha? Pretty much one of my greatest dreams in life. And look at this shit. Just as I talk about it, we already see the airdrop in play. Dear Venice AI users, thank you for pioneering with us. At current prices, $250 million worth has been airdropped to over 150,000 of you. With the VVV contract being here, the future will not be centralized. So boom, get in there and play with it. And with that being said, guys, you should dive into it. I'll put in all of the information down in the description below. By all means, make sure you're protecting yourself. We are going to be using these AIs for all of our inquiries. A lot of that's going to be private data. And when you do accumulate data at scale, it can reveal a lot about a person, whether it be your location, your motivations, what you might even do next. And of course, we've got to watch out that we don't get into a minority report kind of future where the police start to arrest you based off the future probability of something you might do wrong. All of this is new territory. We are now seeing this very interesting battle between the US, between China, and the rivalry for the best possible, most effective AI that can come out there. So this is a really interesting opportunity to me. I think the trade-off is totally worth it just for the privacy and the security feature. The tokens were actually new. I only found out about that when I started doing this. So thank you, channel, for helping me help myself. And hopefully it helped you too. So good luck out there. The markets are bloody. This could be a great opportunity to double down on some things that you truly are convicted in. But, you know, as always, I leave it to you with a message and a sign off of good luck out there, guys.